Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics, back with the foundation paper piecing for the month of September. We are officially halfway through our program and time is just flying by. I can't even believe I'm saying this is the September project. When we were getting the ideas going for this project, we kind of went the gamut from an apple to kind of a school theme. And then I thought about when I've been driving actually from Idaho over to Seattle, a few times I've seen some barns with the quilt block on them. And I know that's even more prevalent in the Midwest. And as I think about the fall colors, and for some reason, red always comes to mind for September because of the apples, you're now seeing that compilation of thoughts played out in our foundation paper piecing for September. So whether you see that as a barn with a quilt block or maybe a schoolhouse with a quilt block, however you see it, we think it's pretty darling. And it's featuring the Rory collection by Windham Fabrics. So we just think those rich colors as we're sliding into fall, and for whatever reason, autumn just says, jewel tones or rich colors. And so we think this one is, I think it might be one of my favorites. So if you haven't picked up the other kits, I cannot encourage you enough. They're flying out the door because people are realizing it's really fun to do foundation paper piecing, and it's lovely to be able to have something new to display each month. Because I know what that's like in certain months where I'm like, I have nothing. Of course, my rooms are overflowing with Christmas decorations in December, but how do you decorate in August? How do you decorate in June? So we give you something to be able to display on an entryway table or maybe even your workplace. So as I said, we kicked this off several months ago with our April project, and we went into great detail about how foundation paper piecing works. It's not intuitive, actually, but it's a lot of fun and easy to learn, definitely beginner friendly. So if you're just seeing this for the first time, be sure to go back where we kicked this off with our tulip way back in April, and we went into all the details of how to do foundation paper piecing, borders, binding, and even how to make the hanging sleeve. You can either use the hanging sleeve to display on the table stand, or some people really love to have that craft holder on the French curl, and maybe that you have a small cubby at work. It might be lovely to just display that next to your workspace. So if this is brand new, as I said, go back and watch that. Go back. You're going to need that information to be successful with foundation paper piecing. What I'll be covering today is something I haven't actually touched on yet, and that's fussy cutting. Notice the door fabric that I selected has stripes in it. And for whatever reason, I think of wood grain going up and down. We want to make sure that we're cutting our fabric straight and with the stripes going the correct orientation. Similarly, for the churn dash block here, we also cut those in a specific direction so that when they're sewn into the project, they're flowing in the direction that we're expecting them to flow in. So we're going to take a little bit of a study in that first. And as always, when you get your kit from us, we've thought this through. We have you in our heart the whole time. We want you to have fun. We'll do all the work, and then you just follow the instructions, and you'll have something beautiful to display. So as before, your instructions, of course, are in full color. Again, so you can identify which fabric is which. That's one of the most important things to do. Our fabrics are distinctly different here, so that should be pretty straightforward. And we have just a 2-piece thread set this month, as we've done with the other months, so that you don't have to run out to a Xerox machine and drive and go do that. The foundation paper piecing is printed for you, and we've given you 2 sets, one to practice with and one to use with scrap fabric of your own, and then one to use with your kit. Similarly, you have 2 sets of stickers helping you to stay organized. Again, if this is brand new, all of this is reviewed in those first videos and talking about the importance of staying organized and, of course, cutting your fabrics accurately. Now that, let's just fast forward, you've got everything cut out and everything stickered. And because we're, again, halfway through the program, we'll skip all of that cutting and labeling, and let's talk about fussy cutting that fabric. As we look at our instructions for that fabric in our kit, the first cut that they mention on Tan 2, which is this, is a 3 by 10 inch. So let's think about that. We know that we want to have our stripes running this direction. And then the subcut is 3 by 4.5. So the first thing is to just make sure you're adhering to the instruction of cutting that to 3 by 10. So as we know, stripes don't always print on grain. That's just a fact of printing. So in your kit, we're doing our best to give you an 8 by 10 based on where that fabric is on the bolt of fabric. Now, when you receive that printing may have been just slightly off in production in Korea. It just happens with stripes. The most important thing is that you follow the lines of this fabric to establish your first cut. So for example, as we look at this on the overhead, see how this is veering away? I've got a straight line over here. Let's just start on this side where it's kind of cattywampus, right? So I'm going to establish my cut on this line. I don't even care what's happening on my mat right now. What I care about is getting a straight line established with my fabric so that I know that I'm running parallel to my stripes. And I don't really like how that came out. I'm going to cut it just a little bit more and we gave you plenty of fabric. We know that. We're very generous with the fabric on this kit. Okay, now I feel like I've got something straight going on. I want it a little bit straighter. So once you're happy, now we know that cut is 3. I'm going to turn this around so that clean edge is on my left. Now, as we know with Creative Grid rulers, and this is one of the coolest things about these rulers, the black dots have half-inch increments on there. The white dots have whole numbers. I'm absolutely going to be using this side next to me. And hey, we already know our first cut is 3 by 10. Let's put the 3 there right along the edge. There's no need to use that side of the ruler with the black dots and the half-inch increments and try to find that 3. Go to the side that just says 3, right? I'm much more likely to be successful doing that. So we'll make our first cut because our pattern's telling us to do that. Then it says we'll cut 3 by 4.5. So here we will turn our fabric. What I'm doing right now, if you're fairly new to quilting, this is called fussy cutting, where you are very specifically extracting out a piece of fabric with a visual presentation that you're looking for. It's more care, more time, but as you can see, I need to change my blade. As you can see, our door is running very parallel. Those stripes aren't tilting anywhere. They're straight up and down. That's what we're doing right now. Now the cut was 4.5. Do you remember how I said the white dots are solid numbers? I want to be assuring my success, so I'm going to turn this around. There's 4.5. I will lay this now. I can just turn this even sideways. I'm not lining up with the mat. The ruler is king right now. There's another 4.5. So I'm going to set that 4.5 right on that edge. This is running parallel with my line to confirm I am in the right location. 4.5, line, line, make a cut. This is my door, right? And of course, it's bigger than it needs to be because foundation paper piecing always gives you a piece bigger than you need, and then we trim it down. But you always want to start with it being nice and square, and that's how you get there. Now we go on to do another cut, 2.5 by 10. And again, we're being very careful to have that alignment so that our pieces here that are going to be the bottom of our churn dash block here, so that these are all where they should be, all right? So you get the idea. That's called fussy cutting. So I want to definitely take some time and show you how that works. And then the function of the Creative Grid ruler helping you to be successful, confirming that you're absolutely in the right place. So because foundation isn't new, but doing these small little quilt blocks is new, let's do the bottom portion of that together. As always, we've cut our fabric out we've stickered it, and we've stacked it in the order in which we will use that fabric. I'm going to put my door aside because we're not going to, of course, build the door, but you get the idea of how to fussy cut. So as we look at our pattern, which I'll bring that back out, I'll put this aside for now. Let's just turn to that portion, and we're focusing our attention right here. So the upper portion of the churn dash block was the F papers right here. The middle was G, and so the bottom portion is H, and we'll do that together right now. So we have everything cut out and ready to go. And as we've done before, this is where it's all going to feel very familiar to you if you've been joining us for this program, is just like we've done the very first piece. We'll always get that little bit of that glue because we need that to hold good and steady on the back side of our H1, okay? And if you're, again, if you're like me, the first time I ever saw someone do foundation paper piecing, I'm like, what are you doing? I was so confused. Nothing was intuitive. And it's not you. It's the process. It is not an intuitive process. But again, so easy to learn. But I'll touch on that right now. So once you've glued the first piece, the most important thing we have to do next is the line between the two. I'm just going to put my add a quarter ruler. You do need the longer add a quarter ruler while I'm talking about that. We even mentioned this project requires the add a quarter ruler and the 12-inch because of these longer runs here. Those exceed the length of the shorter ruler. I really recommend getting the 2-pack. So when you are working with smaller sections, you can use the shorter ruler. And when you need those longer pieces, you have that other ruler. So you have both on hand. So we'll fold this back just like so. And for this smaller portion, I can go ahead and use the smaller add a quarter. Of course, it's got our ridge that we're locking in. Just like that. And we're giving a trim, right? We've established that. Our next fabric is our H2. Notice it's nice and fussy cut. Everything's going nice and vertical for us. Even though this could fit here, to help you confirm you have the orientation, notice they're the same length, right? That's your first clue that you're in the right location. And of course, that's going to give us plenty of coverage. Just like this. We'll pin. Let's take that to the sewing machine. I have my microtex needle in, my stitch lengths drawn back short to a 1.5. And just like we've done before, we'd start just a little bit before and end a few stitches after. You might even crank that down by hand if you feel you want to. But this is a small little thing. It is so cute. Okay, so TSP. We trimmed initially, we sewed, and now we press. TSP, that's a gift from Diane when she was showing me. It'd been many years since I'd done foundation paper piecing. And she's like, Jen, think of teaspoon, TSP. So when you're like, what's my next step? Did you TSP? That's the question, right? Did you TSP? Okay, so just like we've been taught, piece 1 is down, piece 2 is down, and now we repeat our process. Piece 3, we fold back, make a trim, that edge in there good, and trim. So now we're over here at piece 3. Diane wanted me to mention something to you about the plaid in here. Because this plaid is just so cool, really, you're only going to be getting a small section of, so you might want to kind of audition that. What do you want to kind of sit in that section? Where do you like that darker portion in there? Do you like the lighter? So you have a little bit of a leeway with that. You can kind of turn it because it's a square. Okay. So she definitely wanted me to mention that to you. So now we have our piece 3 here. So as we look at that, and we kind of think, all right, do I like that? Do I like that color there? I do. So we want to make sure you're visualizing that 1/4 inch all the way around. So as we position this and we flip it, we want to make sure we've caught that. And definitely that would work. That location works. So again, we'll pin and sew and trim and just keep doing that. Trim, sew, press. Okay, so now we have quite a sharper fold. Of course, that's creating our diagonal, our half square triangle here. Let's make sure we got that one right. Put that edge on. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Okay, piece 4. So we, of course, know that we need to be coming out here. Audition. I think I need to slide that way a little bit more. Let's flip that. And then we look. Looks good to me. Let's sew one more time. And press. Let's see this cute little quilt block. Oh my gosh, that is, I know this looks like a mess right now, but it's where we're headed is going to be pretty cute here. So that part is done over here. Now over at piece 5, right, we've done this. So I wanted, this one was the one that kind of like, that's a small little section. So this one I wanted to definitely show you all the way through how to do this. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. We have to come back, and 5 will be that whole red plaid again, where you're like, what part do you want showing? So let's fold it back. I like the whole thing, so I have a hard time deciding. And let's trim. I really like everything, so I don't think I could go wrong no matter where we choose it. So, one of the things I like about the microtext needle is actually when you start to remove the paper, because the stitch length is so short, it just like perforates this paper, making it so easy to remove it. And it doesn't disturb the fabric because the needle is so fine. And I really have not sewn with a microtext before. I've done foundation paper piecing. So this is a new needle for me, and I really, really love that. So if you have not tried that, pick up a pack of those needles when you grab your kit. I think you're going to really love the results. All right. And then one more time, we're going to fold that back, and then we're going to trim that up. Piece 6. Isn't that nice when all the fabric is just stacked and you just go, right? You're not like, it's not this pile that's out of order. You kind of just keep flowing in order, just having fun, enjoying the process versus, oh my gosh, I just grabbed the wrong cream or the wrong red. So staying organized is definitely part of the key to success in foundation paper piecing. Now let's look at this real quick and make sure that when I fold this out, that I have good coverage all the way around. Yes, I do. Okay, I'm happy with that. All right, one more of these, and then let's trim up our block. I would definitely use a spinning mat if I had it. I don't with me today. That's okay. So we see on our line out here, this is where we will trim up our block. You want to be right on the money on this because, of course, this will be assembled. That's really why I'd use a spinning mat, so I didn't have to lift my fabric. But again, I think I just ran out of space on my table. That's okay. Well, that is adorable. Let's clean that up. Let's check and see what we have. How cute is that? That is adorable. Okay, so of course, now this piece, looks like we actually glued that together. That never hurts, right? It just provides more stability and it gives us a lineup. So we recognize this is coming here. This is going on the bottom. Now, in this instance, I want to sew from this side, and we will. I just want to keep everything in sight, especially this piece where I have a lot of activity going on. Let's sew that. And that needs to be stacked. Like I even took a little bit of I don't even think I am going to pin that. It almost kind of disturbed that alignment. I'm just going to hold this. I want this to be what's guiding me. And that's why this has to be stacked so perfectly together. So let's do that. And let's check our points. Perfect. Looks beautiful. And again, we're aligning. This alignment is very important. Come in back here at an angle just to stabilize and don't allow any rotation at all. And by staying out of the seam allowance, we can leave our pins in when we sew. Let's check our cute little quilt block here. Oh, this is darling. That is just so cute. And of course, you're following your pressing instructions, which my guess right now, it's a guess, is probably pressing open here, kind of evenly distributing. And then pressing downward. That is adorable. So I wanted to show you that section. Obviously, that's what makes this one so special, is the quilt block and celebrating us as quilters. I love that. So as you progress through your various sections, once they're done, now it's assembly. And we have our sections here so you could see how that goes together. And of course, we're guiding you through sew section A to B, and sew these various sections together to complete, of course, that top, adding your borders, adding your binding, the hanging sleeve. Again, go back if you're just now like, I don't know what this is, but I want to do it. Go back to those early videos where we take that deeper dive, grab a snack, grab a cup of coffee. You're there with me for a while as we talk you through the steps of this really fun process of not only putting, of course, the foundation paper piecing together and assembling, but the borders, again, binding and backing. Grab those kits. These fabrics, in fact, I'd fallen in love with some of the fabrics on the previous month. I just thought these beautiful jewel tones were so pretty for some other fall projects. And you know what I'm discovering? Most of that yardage is already gone. So I can't emphasize enough how much love and care we put into designing these, adding beautiful fabrics. And we know once you see them, you fall in love with that, that's what you want, and we want to be able to deliver that to you. So pick up your kits, grab any other notions you might need, maybe your craft stand or your French curl, thread, subscribe so you never miss out. There's so much on the horizon for you. Let your quilt guilds know, friends, and I'll see you next month as we continue our series with the October Foundation Paper Piecing Project. I'll see you then.